Hi, I'm Sofia Fonseca, and this is the Onlaah podcast, a podcast on African archaeology and heritage. In our first episodes, we'll be interviewing the teachers for our online course on African archaeology and heritage that will be held at the Coursera platform at the beginning of 2021. We count on you to join the course. For now, listen to the teachers and enjoy. Today, we'll be talking with Jörg Linstädter, the scientific director of the Commission for Archaeology of Non-European Cultures of the German Archaeological Institute, and also the scientific director of the Onlaah project. And we'll be talking about his work as an archaeology, his work in the archaeology in Africa, his projects, and also his future projects. So, welcome, Jörg.
Thank you, Sophia. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, and to talk with you. So, how did you become an archaeologist, Jörg? I believe I never asked you this.
Okay, it's probably a long time ago. So I think I decided to become an archaeologist when I was 14 or 15 years old. So I was in school and teachers asked all of us, I mean, it was in East Germany, so the teachers started very early to ask the kids what they want to become when they grow older. So when I think first time I said I want to become an archaeologist, I think the teacher was not happy, yeah, because they wanted us to become, I don't know, chemists or workers, construction workers, bus drivers, or whatever. So they were a bit confused when I said I want to become an archaeologist. And but I took already part in excavations at school, so different sites in the area where I come from. And even after school, I had no better idea. So I became an archaeologist and I love my job.
That's amazing. And now Africa enters in this journey.
Yeah, I mean, during my studies, I took part in very different excavation in Germany. So from the Stone Age until Middle Ages, so very different excavations. But I also went to Africa very early, so at the beginning of my studies, when I did my studies in Berlin, and so I took part in excavation in Sudan, in Egypt, and in Morocco, and there I started to get interested in my main area of interest, which is the transition to food production. So that happened in Africa, that I started to become interested in that issue, and it's until today.
Until today. And in which projects did you work, in which countries? You said Egypt, Sudan, and Morocco, and so more in the north.
Africa, I started in the north. So I think my first visit to Africa was in Egypt, which was very impressive. 1992, I think. I was a young boy and very overwhelmed. And then my first excavation was in Sudan with the Polish colleagues. So from Poznan, and I took part in an excavation of a Neolithic cemetery at Kadaro, so north of Khartoum, which was also very impressive. And and then I joined the team of the University of Cologne to the Wadi Howa area in the Western Sudan. And a few years later, also with the team from the University of Cologne to the Egyptian Eastern Sahara. So I went there several times, the Great Sensi, the Abibolas area, especially the Gilf Kebir, where I also wrote my master thesis. So it was about the Holocene occupation of the Wadi Bakti area and the Gilf Kebir.
Yeah, great work the German team did in the Gilf Kebir for sure. And then nowadays you are still working in Africa, but also you are the scientific director of the Commission of Non-European Archaeology of the German Archaeological Institute. What is your job there? What is your role? How do you connect that with your field work?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a lot more responsibility than in the time when I was just a researcher and I could just go to the field and dig some holes. And it's a lot of administration responsibility, but I still try to do research and to publish the results of earlier excavations. And even during the time, parallel to the time when I was in the Eastern Sahara, I took already part in a project in Morocco. It was in the Eastern Rift of Morocco, a project of the German Archaeological Institute and the Institut National des Sciences Archéologiques et Patrimoine du Maroc. And it's a project which runs since 20 years now, very successful. And I wrote my dissertation and my habilitation in that area, mainly about the transition to food production in the West Mediterranean area and all related processes. And so I still work at material from this project, let's say, so 20 years of research, a lot of excavations, surveys and studies. So we're still publishing material from these excavations. So the project is going on, even though there's no fieldwork at the moment, but we still study the material and so on. And but at the same time, when I started my position here 5 years ago, we initiated a project in Southern Africa. So in South Africa, in Eswatini and Mozambique, with very different local partners, universities, and the Eswatini National Trust Commission. And the project is also about the contacts between late hunter-gatherer societies and the early farming communities, so Bantu, which arrived 2,000 years ago, basically. So it's an interesting research project, but our institution has also different, let's say, jobs to do, like capacity building and heritage management. So this is also always part of our time in the field. So we assist, if necessary, with the organization of archives and digital databases and so on. So it's a very, it's a complex task, and it depends very much on the needs of the local partners. So if someone asks for help with special issues or so, then of course we try to assist. Yeah.
Okay. And one of the projects is with one of the partners of the Onlaah project, the Universidad Eduardo Mondlane in Mozambique.
Exactly.
Yeah, you work with them there. It's one of the case studies that we will have in the course at the beginning of the year.
Exactly. If someone is interested in, has to work through the whole MOOC because the video is one of
we hope everyone enrolls.
Yeah, the video is part of the last module. So you have to succeed all the other modules just to see a small video about this project. So maybe as a motivation.
Exactly. Motivation for going through the MOOC. And related with the project, when did it start, and why did you believe in the project and engage yourself to bring it to life?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I remember, the idea is already 5 years old, right? Isn't it? Or maybe you had this idea maybe
started,
already many years earlier, but I think I remember that we talked first time 5 years ago. And I mean, I was very enthusiastic. So I didn't know so much about it. And I think I underestimated the work which we had to invest in that project. But from the beginning, I was very much interested.
We like the idea.
Because it's like you can do so many things like films and papers and podcasts now and so on. There are so many different options and to share knowledge. And it's a global, you have a global impact. So it's not just that you are in contact with a group of researchers or students or so. You can I don't know, start to create a global community, and I think this is the best way to share knowledge. So that's why I was very convinced from the beginning.
That's great. Yes, you were always very enthusiastic, and we talk about the first time, I believe it was like 5 years ago. Yes, in June. Exactly. And then we started trying to bring it to life, and here we are now.
It's like a lifelong learning process. So learning by doing.
A very long, completely. And for you personally, what would be the best results, let's say, regarding the course or the project or the community, as you are saying?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea that what you would like?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very good way to bring even closer together the people which are already interested in African archaeology or heritage management in Africa. So it means researchers, students, policymakers, And even during the process, I learned a lot. So my networks were growing, and I learned a lot about topics I was not so much into it before, and I hope that will continue. Yeah. And so best result, I think it would be two things. The one thing is that all of us who are already involved in that research, yeah, like teachers, also students, learn more and more about these very different time periods and regions and methodologies in Africa, but also that people outside this community become much more aware of the issue of archaeology in Africa. So this would be the two effects I expect, yeah. So that we come together as a group and learn from each other. And the other thing is that we have an outreach so that other people from outside become much more interested, and so that the topic itself, becomes a bit more visible, let's say.
Yes, I completely agree with you. And for the future, for your personal future in the field, do you have any projects apart of the one in Mozambique that you are developing with Onlaah University and our colleague Desio? Do you have any other projects in the field, or for the next years you will stay more in Berlin and in the institute?
Okay. Don't tell my bosses, but I try to escape as much as possible, yeah, to the field. I try to do my job here in the office, but I think I need field work, yeah. I mean, going to Africa, it was not, I mean, if you ask me why I study African archaeology, I could tell you that it's maybe because all these interesting topics we can study, but it was from the beginning a very emotional thing. I don't know. I was never thinking about it so much. I just went there. So when I was, as I told you, when I was a young boy. So even though it's a bit problematic at the moment with the pandemic and nobody knows when it ends and how, but we are prepared to go back to Eswatini and to Mozambique as soon as possible. And then, the project we started is there's enormous work to do. There's still material from earlier excavations, and you know that methods develop very fast. So if you have a material which was excavated 20 years ago, there are a lot new questions, added material, new methods. So we can redate sites, we can do analysis like use wear, residues, and so on and so on. So there is a lot to do. We have interesting research questions, and we want to address these questions to the different materials which exist already. And we want to build up geographical information systems, so databases, maps, and make it available to everybody. So we have an open access journal at the Institute, and we want to publish as much as possible, so in a way that it's accessible to everyone. And then, of course, excavations, if possible. So I'm really looking forward to fieldwork and to see my colleagues again in Southern Africa. So I miss you guys.
Hopefully it will be sooner than later for all of us.
Let's hope.
To get out of this strange moment. So thank you so much, Jörg.
Pleasure.
This presentation, you are the first. I hope we'll have other teachers from the MOOC, so we can present ourselves to the community and start connecting with each other, like with this podcast. And thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. And I'm looking forward to all the other people. Who's next? Do you know already?
Hillman will be.
This is someone who really has a lot to say. Okay, looking forward to listen to him. Okay, Sophia.
Okay.
Bye-bye. See you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining the conversation with Jörg Linstädter, the scientific director of the Commission for Archaeology of Non-European Cultures from the German Archaeological Institute and one of the scientific directors of the Onlaah project. He was also the first person to believe and support the idea of creating a MOOC, an online course, on African archaeology and heritage, and this platform for all of us to connect. Thank you, Jörg, for that. For the next few weeks, we'll keep on having conversations with our teachers around the course and around their personal projects. Subscribe to the podcast and to our newsletter, and let's be friends on Facebook and Instagram. Take care and keep safe. Talk to you soon.